move management. And my name is Osi Egbia here. I'm an architect training. I've been doing that for over 50 years. Quite experienced in the building industry. So we'll be having a good time here together as we run through the course for this evening. I hope everybody at the induction of this program, I'm sure would have told everyone to probably put their names, their full names and all that. Okay, great. I think everybody's doing that. So I won't have to go through that. So we just go into the program outline. We'll run through the program in 6 modules, and then we'll start with the introduction. We'll look at the need for space planning, look at space planning processes, look at space allocation options, we look at move management, and then we'll consider key constituents for the move process. And then I want to say that the way space is planned always determines its use and its purpose. It is important for facility managers, those the basic requirement different spaces as it relates to use a if a facility manager, as it helps him or her to know if the space is fully utilized. Now, it's very important for us to understand that every space itself has its particular use and configuration. If peradventure you want to be searching for an apartment and take you to a new apartment to check and look at the apartment, don't need to tell you that this is the living room or this is the living room. Nobody will need to tell this is the kitchen before you know it's the kitchen. Nobody needs to tell you what the toilet is when you see it. Nobody will even need to tell you where the master's bedroom is and how that works. Because most of the times, when you get into that space, most often than not, you know the use of the space by the way it is configured. It's very important for you as a facility manager to really always know the importance of each space and how the space is configured. If you go into a banking hall now that is empty, it's more likely that you know it's a banking hall. If you go into a church building, it's mostly a church building because the way it is configured, you know it's a church. If you go into a mosque, you know mosque. Probably if you go into a restaurant also, you probably know it's a restaurant because of the way spaces are configured. So it is important for you to always know the use of the space so that you'll be able to manage the space as a manager. So the use of space, also when you're looking at space utilization, the use of the space will let you know exactly how that space needs to be utilized and how to manage the space as it relates to its use. Most of our new generation offices, flexibility is becoming a key requirement as organizations are continually changing the way they work. Facility managers need to become more familiar with the way the organization is moving, and then ask himself, you need to be able to ask yourself some key questions, especially at the beginning of the year, and then probably at the quarter as the quarter kicks off. The facility and how it's managed. One, you need to ask yourself, is this present space is possible to renegotiate of pricing and other agreements? That's another question you need to ask yourself. You also need to ask, is the space still meeting the business needs and the organization? Does yourself these questions? Because by the time you ask these questions, to make it easy for you to understand that space, and by the time you answer into up, does relocate from that space. And once you are doing that presentation, you must come with your went up. Hello, can you guys hear me?
No.
Wow.
Bad network.
We have not been able to pick anything since.
Is stammering.
But you can hear me now, can't you?
No.
It's breaking off.
Yes, you are breaking, sir. You just have to log out and
maybe log out and log back in.
Yeah.
Okay.
You are breaking.
I'll log out and log back in now, so we can go through again. Can we hear you now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. And hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just take it again. I'll just start from the introductions and then we'll continue. I said from the beginning that the way a space is planned always determine its use and its purpose. It is important that facility managers know the basic requirement for different spaces as it relates to its use. Like I mentioned, that different space has its purpose. If you go into church, you know the way it's configured, you know it's the church. If you go into a restaurant, the way the space is configured, you will know it's a restaurant. If you go into a banking hall, the way it's configured is you will know it's the banking hall. And if you visit a hotel, the way the space is arranged, you will know that this is a hotel, and then you'll be able to understand how space works. It's the effective way a space is used is key for a facility manager, as it is important for him or her to know the space, to know if the space is utilized. When you know the space better, you will know how that space works and then understand how to manage the space. New generation of modern offices, flexibility is becoming earlier on. One of the questions to ask is the person's question is, do we need to increase the amount of space or to reduce it? Is it possible to renegotiate the lease agreement? Is it possible for the space itself, is it meeting the business needs and development of the organization in the of this present space? or the location of the business building is it befitting of the organization needs at the business need of the organization. Now, it's very important that the facility manager runs through this question at the beginning of every year and sometimes every quarter to be able to observe ourselves abreast with the activities that needs to happen in the space and building, so that the facility manager can advise management on the best way and how they stay. One of the things that the facility manager will always have to work with is data. A facility manager is normally a compendium of data because you are supposed to, from time to time, always have fire safety arrangements. We also have the lighting levels. You have signage, have ventilation, you have some control and welfare arrangement. Minimum amount of space per staff member. Open offices is normally a percent per square member, including its minimum circulation space. Per staff member, you're supposed to make a minimum provision 3 square meters per staff member. Therefore, the fire safety arrangement, you must ensure that your exit doors has a thoroughfare without any obstruction in case of emergency, in case of fire, in case of any form of emergency, when you do the space. From any point of the building, by any floor you are, to the exit point should take you maximum 60 seconds to be able to move from your desk, or rather from your seat or your workstation to the nearest exit to your workstation. It must be at least 60 seconds in case of emergency, and there must not be any form of obstruction along the aisle leading to the exit point. Along the aisle leading to the exit point for the building. Then lighting levels, you must ensure that the lighting of the space meets a minimum of 400 lumens. In offices should be bright white light so that people don't come to the office and start sleeping. You must ensure there is adequate ventilation, either natural or artificial. Natural is use of opening windows, while artificial is you use air conditioning system. Also, the temperature control must ensure that the space has cold so that people cannot walk, and also must not be too hot so that people can be able to walk. When the space is too hot, people will not be able to walk. Be distracted with once it's in terms of managing heat, and then and then
Hello, sir. You are still breaking. You are breaking.
Arrangement will have the general position for. I don't know what to do at this stage, Joe. I'm sorry about that, but
You're not getting the message at all. You're not getting the
Sir,
message.
you might
We are just
consider
seeing your
changing the
screen,
network.
but not
You're not
getting
getting the
what you're
message
saying.
at all.
Do you understand? We are only watching your slides. Yes, you can. What your communication is poorly understood.
this is the
If you
first.
can change your network, sir.
This is the first time I'm having this kind of issues. Anyway, let me try and change the network. Just bear with me. Let me go through the network and try and change it.
I think that could work.
Hello.
Hi.
Is
Hi.
there now? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Now.
Okay,
For now, you're clear, sir.
okay.
For now,
Let me just
for now,
let's okay. Let me continue with this. So like I was saying, for the fire
Sir, could you
safety
please
area.
refresh some of those specifications you gave initially, in the spacing and the specifications you gave for the place? Thank you.
Okay. I'll start from the minimum amount of space that is required per staff member is about 3 square meters per staff member, and then I said for fire arrangement, you must ensure that the exit points do not have any form of obstruction. There must be a thoroughfare to where the exit points are in case of any form of fire or emergency. Then for the lighting levels, I mentioned that the space should at least the minimum requirement is 1 lumen for the space. Not just the light, the single light, but the minimum of 400.
The network system.
So why don't you consider changing your positioning?
Yes.
The slides from another device. I hope it doesn't work again. So
We can hear you clearly now.
oh, great, awesome. Okay. I start at the lighting levels. I said the space should be about 400 lumens, and then signages. You must have adequate signages in between the building to ensure that people have directions, the exit point, labeling of the space, the offices, the rooms, the kitchenette, the toilets, so that people those directions are going to be. Then ventilation, I've talked about natural and artificial ventilation. For natural ventilation, this is of course opening up the windows. Artificial ventilation will use the air conditioning system to cool the spaces and to give fresh air coming into the space. Then for thermal control, I said you must the space must have good balance that is not too hot and is not too cold. When the space is too cold, you'll be distracted and it will affect productivity, because when you come to the office, you take a lot of time to keep yourself warm. When it is too hot, you also be distracted, and then you try to get yourself warm by cold, right? Fanning yourself or looking for a cool place to sit down. So that will affect your productivity. Look at churn rate. I hope you can still hear me. Churn rate. Hello, guys. Hello.
Your audio is,
We can hear you.
We're with you.
Hello.
your audio
Okay,
is,
great.
your
Yes.
audio is good. So.
Okay, sorry. I just want to joke that I've not. Okay. I'll just continue then. Churn rate. Churn rate, this refers to this is the process where people move in offices. Either they move vertically, that is they are promoted, or they move horizontally, or they japa, that's horizontal. Most organizations, offices layouts are subject to frequent changes. People move out of organizations, or they move upward when they climb through the ladder. It depends on how frequent that is. And normally, as for you as a facility manager, you are supposed to, from time to time, do a head count to know how the graph goes and how the people move. Normally, a measure of the number of staff moving out of the organization over a specific period of time. And it is one of the primary factors that determines the steady state level of staff in an organization. The organization will be able to support. And the amount of staff who cut ties with the organization during the given period of time. And then it is simply referred to, implies that the staff has churned. When the staff was a japa, they have churned. They have moved to a new. So you, for facility managers, you need to take note of the the frequency at which staff were available at the 200 persons. And by the end of 2020, you had 190. That means 10 persons have left. Probably you now started the year 2021 with 109 persons. By the end of 2021, you are getting to like 180 or 170. It means that another 20 persons have gone. You are starting the year 2022 and you are seeing 170, and you are getting to the end of 2022, people have reduced to like 50. It means that you have advanced management, ask management, are we going to replace these people with this number that we have? The management says, oh, work with this number. That means you need to reorganize the space to be able to take care of that number and then adequately plan for the future so that at least you have enough space. Or if the space is being too much, you now begin to understand how to manage the space. Space like the main is the weather and how a space is, and the occupancy. The frequency rate measures the proportion of time that staff use the space compared to its availability. And the occupancy rate measures how full the space is in compared to the.
Hello, sir. You are breaking again.
Compared to its capacity. And the utilization rate can be assessed.
Sir, the audio is
We are not
breaking again.
getting you, please. We are
The audio
not
is breaking again.
Your audio is bad, sir.
Okay, can you
Your
hear
audio
me?
is bad.
Okay, it's back. Okay. Please, let's
It's
just
better you change the device. It's not, as you said.
Is it supposed to share somebody's device? Yeah.
Let's just I've gone between this is the fourth network I'm using, and please let's just manage through. Let's note our questions, areas where
we won't be able
just
to
note it
note
down.
questions when we are not getting what you are
Sorry, we
saying.
can't manage if we are not hearing
Difficult
you.
for us to do
We
that.
can't manage.
We
Sorry,
can't
sir.
ask questions when we don't understand or hear what you are
Okay,
saying.
where did you get to?
You have to start from
Just
that space utilization.
Space utilization.
I've not gone through. I'm still on space utilization.
You may need to start it from beginning, sir.
All you have said so far there, we couldn't assimilate at all.
Okay, I'll start again. I'll move space utilization.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like utilization refers to a measure of whether a space or whether and how a space is given. Once a given space is given, once you have a given space in your office, if the space is supposed to occupy, think about, let's say, 100 staff members, and over a period of 6 months, you take the head count, and the space have not been able to get up to 100. Probably you have a 100 students, and at a goal, you have never started 100. The other person, 100 persons have gone to the office for 6 months. If that space is being unutilized, the utilization rate is a function of the frequency rate and the occupancy rate. The frequency rate measures the proportion of the time that staff uses the space compared to its availability. This is when the space itself, the number of occupancy per space is about 100.
Hello, sir. Your voice is gone again. We can't hear what you did again.
100% of that space. Rate measures is compared to capacity. It measures the distance of 100, is it 100, 120, sitting 50? The utilization rate, actual use, and the predicted use. If the predicted use is for 120 and the actual is 100, then you'll be able to predict, okay, in the next few months, or rather in next years to come, you can up the space. So when you are doing above the predicted capacity, then you know that you need a new space. So please, whoever, let's mute our consolidate location and renew the lease for just a need space. Now, for in need space means that once you look at the lease agreement, let's assume that your office is like 4 floors, and then presently you are occupying 5 floors. And by the time you do the calculation, you require that floor. Means your lease agreement the upper year, you may need to give up. So you just have just a need. What you require is what you get. It's not always the best, but sometimes in terms of saving costs, that is actually the way to go. Optimizing the use of the remaining space to maintain productivity and competitive advantage. It is important that whatever space you have, you as a facility manager must ensure that that space is fully utilized and fully utilized to achieve the required function in terms of getting the best out of the space. A space that is comfortable, that will enable productive and to be more competitive. In contrast, companies handle accommodation standards. Organizations often have a policy. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hello. Wow.
Sorry, the network is bad. It's very, very bad. Very bad, I guess.
Okay.
It's worse now. It's worse now. We can barely hear you.
I took.
Oh, sir, can I share the screen for you so that I can stop sharing for a better audio quality? I think let's try that, sir.
Okay, let's, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, but by the time you start, it fluctuates.
Okay, anytime it fluctuates, just send me a message on the chat so that you don't cut off the thought. And then I'll, maybe I see the chat, I'll go back to where, thank you. Accommodation standards. Organizations often have a policy on the minimum standard of accommodation for each staff grade. Normally from some organizations have policies around this, where they are able to manage the spaces as it were depending on the grade of the parameters or staff parameters. Then probably, as you go up to senior management, you can say, senior management, you can have 20 square meters. Then for executive management, you can have 30 square meters. Then for MD, the MD or group MD, you can have 40 square meters and above. That's the way normally organizations normally do that. For very organized spaces, they do that a lot to organize those spaces. Then the administration staff may work in open office system. Managers may have individual offices depending on the size or seniority of the management staff and depending on how it works. Then for business needs, office layout design should provide an environment suitable for the business needs of the organization. Now, for the allocation of spaces and the way the office is laid out, it depends on the kind of company and the office. Okay, see fluctuating. I'll go back to, if you can hear me, I'll go back and take somebody said I should go off the slides. Look at that suggestion where I go off the slides and just talk. So that means all of you need to open your slides from where you are. Is that possible? Or is that good enough? I want us to try that.
We can do that.
Okay, that's only Chile I'm hearing. Every other person, let me hear your suggestion.
We can open slide from this end.
Yes, you can do that.
Okay, great. If you have your slides, I'll just go off the slides and then I'll talk from the background and so that we'll see if that's better. Okay, great. Thank you.
Also, I can also share the slide from my end. I don't know if that's fine.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Barakat, you can share the slide from where you are. So probably I'll stop sharing here and just go to accommodation standard. I'll tell you when to go to the next slide.
Okay, sir.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
They say you leave a video.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we
can hear you. Okay, good. I want to assume that we are on our slides, we are on accommodation standards. That should be slide 17. It depends on the ones you have. Just look at it, we are on accommodation standards. So I'm going into business needs. Now, like I was saying, the kind of business you do determines the way the office layout is structured and how the organization will be able to manage the spaces that they have. Really, if you're looking at call centers undertake their businesses on the screen, so they require less workspace and require less storage spaces. They will do more of their work on the screens, and then means that most of their activities will just be receiving calls and then requirement of small desk areas for staff members, that's for call centers, minimum documentation, minimum storage, and may have limited requirement for photocopying facilities or printing because it just answer calls and just record it on the system. Next slide, Barakat. In contrast, companies handling heavy paperwork based documentation require large documents, larger tables for their staffs, more storage in terms of records. They have more archives. They may require more photocopying and printing facilities that may require that. In those days, we normally have what we call mapping tables, which are bigger tables. It's 1600 tables. We don't use that as much as we used to use that in those days. So anyway, for engineering companies, they require bigger decks than what's it called, cost centers, because they deal with a lot of documentation, also accounting, and administrators that have a lot of paperwork they work with. They require more desktop and more for them to be able to manage. Staff required, please next slide. The staff welfare facilities. Office staff requires access to basic welfare facilities in an office, such as toilet and drinking water. It's very important for offices to have these two things, toilet and drinking water. And also, they require to even have a little bit of consideration for vending or catering. Can make a drink or take a break from their decks, that is having out areas or coffee rooms or coffee decks where they can just go their tea rooms and then are able to take their tea. It's very important to have toilets in offices so that people are able to manage and ease themselves when they are required to do that. Other services are required in the office. Each desk in an office may require a telephone and a computer. Most of us now use our mobile phones. In those days, we used to have IP phones. Back as next slide, please. We used to have IP phones with our desktop computers, but now we use more of our laptops and then probably your mobile phones. But some offices still have the laptops and the desktops and the IP phones, which is used to connect in between the office and then also calls. In large offices, the power and data is the floor, to the desk. It depends on the configuration of the space. Either it runs on under the floor or you use another alternative in small part and the data cables run and the sockets are there where you just plug in your computers and then also plug in your power and then data required. Other alternatives are the use of ceiling power poles. If you look at the image that is attached to this slide, you see down that pole, the power pole, normally is plan of the decks away from the perimeter walls. Where you do not need to get decks the walls where you can put it at the center of the office. Open plan office are often divided into smaller offices for management. The following factors should be taken into consideration when dividing sound. One, the heating, cooling zones, and the ventilation areas. Look at the switches and emergency lighting, the fire escape routes, and the noise acoustics. Once you are doing partition of office spaces, especially in an open office, the things that you probably will consider are one, like we've mentioned, we need to consider the heating cooling zones. For very large office spaces, if you've ever been to one, you notice that especially when the cooling system is not done with split unit. When we use VLV or chiller systems or central cooling, the central cooling, you have the vents that are positioned in different areas. So in each of the enclosed offices, you must make provision for vents, for AC vents, so that the offices will not be hot, so they're able to ventilate itself properly. And also, you need to also look at the lighting levels to ensure that each offices, the position of the light switches and sockets, depending on how the space is configured. Each enclosed office should be able to control its own lighting system. So they should be able to pick up, put on their lights at their given convenience and put it off when they are not there. So it's very important to note that for the office spaces. Then also look at the fire alarm system of the building, such that once there is any form of fire or emergency, once the alarm sounds, the partitioned office should not be too enclosed in such a manner that they are not able to hear the fire alarm once it sounds. So it's very important that everybody in the building hears the fire alarm once that is sounded. We'll go to the next module, space planning process. Now, there are some process that we need to take when you are planning a space, especially if you are moving into a new space. You need to learn to plan in advance. One of the things that you probably would want to do first is that you need to get and seek for professional help when it comes to space planning. One of the things that you need to get is to get what we call an architect stroke space planner. The architects that specializes in space planning, especially for offices. Interview several architects or space planners so that they're able to give you the best that you can. Please note, when you are doing an office space, you are not looking for an interior decorator. It is very important. There's a difference between interior decoration and space planners. What you require is a space planner. The interior decorator can come after the space planner. The space planners are most often than not interior architects or interior designers, and you must get the ones that are used to copy to be able to design and manage your space properly for you, that understands the corporate setting and knows how to allocate spaces as it is required. Also, you must select a professional that understands your business objectives details. After interviewing the professional, select your business suggestions to improve efficiency and workflow. This will translate that balances the company's vision and space utilization. And it also ensures that departments are adjacent to each other and makes provision for future growth, so that at least every organization is able to project and see what their future holds. What you need to do. Think first about how your business will use a space. It's very important for you to do that. And then you also look at, will each of your employees need a dedicated workstation? If the answer is yes, you make provision for that. Can you utilize a more open office plan? If you can do that, it's always there. Does the business have customers visit often? These are questions that normally you'll be able to, when you ask yourself these questions, it will inform the kind of design that you do. First, if you think about how your business works, how they use space, you understand that, oh, this space, the office, most persons like having their enclosed offices, and that's the policy. So you need to make plenty of enclosed offices. But if you look at the option of having open floor plan, you have the open office where you just put your desks spread across and put the managers into cubicles. It could also be, and then also when you have a business where you have a lot of customers visiting, that means you need to make provision for a lot of meeting rooms, small meeting rooms, to ensure that customers are well taken care of and well the staffs as is required. For growth, companies is to grow, not to remain stagnant. It's very important for you to know that every company wants to grow and they don't want to remain stagnant. As job increases, the new business develops, there will be need for more space in-house to house employees in every department. So you must look at where you need to make your plans and how to manage it. Expand should be considered when negotiating your lease. When you are going for a new office, normally 3 years, most leases are for companies or for offices are normally long leases. You have lease for 5 years minimum, and then additional 3 years as it goes. It's always better for companies for a lot of stability, so that the company does not keep moving from one location to the other, which will affect the business and also affect the customers that are supposed to come and meet that you're supposed to be attending to. So it's always better to have projections where you can give, you have room for expansion negotiated into the lease, so that you can expand the space where it is required. To plan properly, so to properly plan for growth, you must take into account your current headcount, like I mentioned earlier on. Compare it with your future growth projections. When they come look at the future growth projections, what are they looking at? And also by analyzing and understanding what the maximum headcount may look like over a period of 3 to 5 years. You have projections of what your what the headcount will be if it's going to increase with a 10% or a 5% over a period of 5 years, so you can plan adequately and know exactly what to do. If your growth rate is maybe like 10% in the next 5 years or 3 years, it means that by the time you are hitting your second year, you should have actively started looking for another space. Because if you do not do that, the space may become smaller. You may limit any foreseeable hiccups in the future regarding your occupancy situation. If you plan for the future employees now, so that when your company does grow, you will already have space to put them. So as a facility manager, you must always plan for future employees now, so that they can also always have space where they can be put. But the only problem is that there is risks in planning big. Sometimes it may not function or may not work the way you are projected. If you are unable to meet your growth goals, you may end up having too much space to use or to work with. You may need to consider subleasing your office in case where you have too much space, or reevaluate your space planning or rearrange it, or be sure there's a sublease provision in your lease that address this potential issue. Now, most of the times, we have said that once you get a lease, especially in your offices or your spaces, ensure that you have a sublease agreement where it is part of your lease agreement, where it is giving you so that you can lease part of your space when it becomes too much. Most landlords will not want that, but once you negotiate that into the lease agreement at the time you are taking over the lease, to give you the possibility, but you may end up paying higher. But at the end of the day, it is still far better for you to be able to lease part of your space and then be able to utilize the space very well. Now, wasting excessive money over spaces that you really will not use. One of the going debate for a long time is whether it is better to have an open office or a closed cubicles. It depends on your organization and how it works. Whichever direction you take, you should consider there's some things you need to look at. What are the things you need to look at when you're considering an open office? One, that decision strongly depends on your organization or your industry, on how it works. Two, what makes your team perform? You need to know if they work better when in an open space. That means that's a way to go. Do they get better results by your team collaboration or interaction? Do your employees perform better in a focus on productive driven environment where they need to get going remote. With the growth of cloud computing, many businesses began utilizing remote working plans. This again became very important during the COVID period. During the COVID period, a lot of organizations had to allow people to work from home because it became a great way for people to assemble or gather together for them to work in one space so that they won't get infected. So going remote in itself has helped organizations to be able to work from where they are, to give employees a bit more freedom to work from home or away from the offices. Wherever they are, they can work. It's becoming a norm now, and a lot of people work from home. They can work from where that. But most offices now have adjusted to that lifestyle. If your company has a remote working policy, one of the things you see that is consider the space utilization ratio. If your company probably has like 200 staff, and then your office space is sitting about 200 staff, it's very important for you to note that you need to plan to ensure that if that 200 staffs are not coming to the office at all, probably you have 50 coming to the office, you may need to now get a smaller space that will be able to manage those 50 people or probably 75 persons, so that you know that at any given point in time, you're not going to have more than 75 persons coming to the office because a lot of persons are working from home. Consider the percentage of time that employees spend in the office to be able to manage that ratio, so that at the end of the day, you are able to utilize the space properly, so you don't have too much wasted spaces where you are. A good idea may be to include an area where the office plan is flexible with movable furniture, so that at this point where you do not have persons, you can have a breakout spaces where people can work. Also, some special considerations that you may use for specific uses, such as large lunch rooms, breakout rooms, private meeting areas. The images that we have on the slide just shows you some places, some images of breakout spaces where people can go sit down and then walk. So that when people come to the office, they can use or even when you are working in the office and you have impromptu meetings, you can just go to the breakout spaces to have meetings. And you can also, there are areas where you can also just go away from your work environment that can help you also focus and still work, but in a more relaxed environment. Space allocation options. And there are different options that we use to allocate spaces in offices. Hoteling system. The hoteling system is the method of office management in which workers, such as desks, cubicles, and other offices, an alternative approach to the more traditional method of permanently assigning seats. Hoteling is reserving based on assigned seating. With hoteling system, workers are not assigned to their own desks. Instead, they reserve a desk for their temporary use and for just the days that they are expected to work in the office. Now, For hoteling system, normally what happens is that once your organization is working with this hoteling system, before any staff member will be able to work in the office space, they will need to call into the admin to book their space. You need to call in normally, you call the admin, admin, I'll be coming to the office next week. I will need a space to work with. The admin will check through the office and see if there's space available. If there's space available, the admin will reply you and say, okay, they have booked you for maybe Dex, it's 107 right wing, so that you can work there and you'll be allocated for 7 days or probably for 5 days so that you can work in those spaces. If you do not book your spaces ahead of time, it is possible that you will not be able to get space to work in a hoteling system. You must book your spaces. In fact, in proper hoteling system, once you have your access, you come into this building, you will only be able to because your card will not work because it's not activated for that particular day. So you may need to always call to book for your office space. For hoteling system, there are some advantages. One of the advantages benefits of that is that it's saving cost of great opportunity for staff to mingle and collaborate more because you have to meet more staff from different departments from time to time. You meet them at different points and at different times in the office. Now we have another slide which we call the hot dexing system. The hot dexing, an office organization system which involves multiple staffs using a single physical workstation or surface during different time period. Hot dexing is often found in workspaces with flexible schedule of employees. A primary motivation for hot dexing is cost reduction through space saving, up to about 30% in some cases. Valuable cities where real estate prices are very high. Now, for offices where they work in shifts, let's assume that, you have like, let's say 100 staff in your office, and the 100 staff, you have, let's say 80 of them working in shift, as in they work in 2 shifts. 40 will come in the morning, another 40 comes in the. We just make provision for desks where they will go and work. Nobody have any desks allocated to them. Once the people are closed, they leave, somebody else comes, takes over the work and continue work. So that you don't have the whole 100 persons sitting at the office at the same time. It's just a closed desk, and the provision is just there permanent. But for the hoteling system, you need to call and book. But these days, the hoteling system and the hot dexing system are becoming more synchronized together, where you just call also book for space. The next one is telecommuting. This one is for general. We are becoming so useful to this now. This training is from different spaces, different places in the world, and they also can now also communicate and move. Please, everybody should mute mics, please. There's interference. Okay, thanks. Telecommuting, a work arrangement in which employees do not commute to a central place to work. Let's assume that your office is in Victoria Island, and they can also use, also possible for you to have small offices. Or maybe people from Ikorodu, they just have a small space in Ikorodu. The head office is in Victoria Island. People stay in Badagry, have a space in Badagry. So when they need to have meetings, the people from Badagry, from Ikorodu, will connect to the head office and be able to meet. It's another way of working remotely, but much more. It's another way where you have an office space where people will work, and they also communicate to the central. And in many telecommuters, they also can work from home, like I've said, working from home is working remote, and also others use mobile technology for work from coffee shops, other locations depending on where you find yourself or where you are. Telecommuting is used by office employees to still work, to be able to work even while they're on vacation. So these days with the remote working, nobody really goes on vacation anymore. People just work. The benefit of telecommuting can allow a worker greater freedom regarding working hours and work location. You can work from anywhere in the world and just connect to a central server and do your work. It gives employees more flexibility to balance work, physical obligation. Often work from home can actually make you more productive because you do not have to be the distraction of an office space. Open space plan. Use of large open spaces and minimize this use small now office. The open and closed plan offices are perfect for all situations or for all individuals. So whether you're using open office plan or you're using an enclosed office, most of the times your organization actually determines the one that you use. It depends on the kind of work you do. And then for law firms, a lot of law firms, sometimes they have open offices for the general staffs, but for the partners and associates, they normally have their own offices where they can be able to discuss with their clients. They normally just have a general work pool for the junior staffs, and then the support associates and then the partners. The right balance is required per space depending on how it works. Any office design is likely to involve trade-offs for workers and some positives and negatives. Looking at the advantage of open office, the openness may involve communicating and collaborating of workers more, and also enable a flow of information amongst team workers, and also increase more of teamwork. It increases collaboration and resulting from an open plan. Working space can lead to business innovation and advancement, reduction of cooling and electricity expenses, because in open offices you use less cooling, and therefore it will ensure that your electricity bills are less. It also provides greater flexibility to accommodation, revolving personnel needs, depending on how it goes. While some disadvantage of having an open office, it may reduce concentration and productivity because stopping and talking about our lack of privacy in areas of pandemic. People can easily contact when they are in an open space, differently from when they have their own enclosed space. May be reduced by the high rates of absenteeism associated with the spread of diseases and people falling ill. Rise to legal or ethical issues stemming from compromises or confidentiality in regards to clients and colleagues, because there's some confidential documents that you may work with that you may just need to keep out of the reach of different people. Then breakout areas, so you have breakout spaces, is a current management fashion involves at least partly in reinventing the office, where in such environment workers no longer have their own desks or workspace, a quiet area for the hustle and the bustle of the health, any space open to employees or visitors that is separate from the usual work area to help relieve stress and to hold opportunity. Most multinationals are now having breakout spaces a lot because it helps workers to just, when you are working in your office or rather in your desk for a long time, for a long while, after a while you may just be tired, you can just take your laptop, walk to where you have the breakout space, sit down because you probably have couches that are more relax and then around the breakout spaces, or you may even have meetings there where you have visitors coming in. Instead of having a general meeting room, you just have one-on-one with them around the breakout space. It's very nice place to have. Benefits of a well-designed breakout space. Can start launch somewhere to greet visitors or clients, just a soft area where you can greet visitors or clients. Also, importantly, an area where staff can relax away from their screens, their PCs to work. Also promotes employees' well-being, improves posture, and helps to relieve stress. It helps to relieve stress. That's for breakout areas. Move management. Normally we normally take a break. So I want us to take a 5 minutes break at this time, and then if that's okay by you, or we just continue, please let us to continue. We'll continue. But let us take 5 minutes break. We'll do that, which is our normal tradition.
Okay, yes, we need a breakout for 5 minutes.
Okay, great. So,
Yes.
Sure, we can.
Oh, great. Now on to move management. Now, under move management, the role of the facility manager in move management. The role of the facility manager in move management. In many organizations, office layouts are subject to changes. This process is referred to as churn. These moves are normally planned by the facility management department. Move normally refers to when you are relocating one point or you are relocating within the building. The facility manager plans for the following: the minimum amount of space for the provided passive head, like we have discussed. Also, the facility manager plans for the safety arrangement of the new facility. The facility manager also plans for the lighting levels. The facility manager makes provision for proper ventilation and thermal control. The facility manager also makes proper arrangement for the welfare arrangements, such as toilets, facilities, and the vending facilities. Also making provision for kitchenettes and kitchens so that people can have their lunch while they are in office and don't die of starvation. We have some reasons why moves are done in offices. One, reason for move. Normally, sometimes a reason that may warrant such move may be expansion or growth. Maybe the present office space is too small and they need to get a bigger space so that they'll be able to accommodate the new staff that are coming in. Sometimes it's also to reduce costs. The present space is too expensive, and then the company is looking at saving some costs in all the consolidation into one space. Also, it may be as a result of expired lease, or they need to renew the lease. And also, it may also be as a result of access to market, or reorganization, or better facility. It may also be because of the company may want to improve their brand perspective, and also to enhance employee morale, get a better working space to make sure that the staffs are happy. Sometimes that may be a reason and then probably looking at upgrading them to a place that has better internet coverage in terms of technology, or going closer to a technological hub, and also to be closer to our clients or competitors, depending on the focus of the organization. Now, factors to be considered when renting a new office space. Now, it's very important for you as a manager, once you're going to check out spaces, to look at the power and the cooling system. The power and the cooling system. Check out how consistent the power is. If they have provision for generator, or you have to provide your own generator, how regular is the supply from either PH, what's it called, either from Meko or Ikeja Electric, or from wherever you are, maybe in Ibadan or.
I can't hear anything.
I can't hear anything, no. I hope I'm not the only one.
I thought I'm the only one. No, I can't hear too.
Same here. I can't hear anything also.
You are not alone, no. The network is bad.
I think his line is off.
It's off. Or maybe battery.
Hello everyone, please kindly let's hold on for some minutes. I think Mr. Osi is having network issues. Please kindly let's hold on for some minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, great, thank you. Okay, I'll just continue from here for the move. Reasons for moving. Like I've mentioned this before, I'll just take it again. The reason for the move, one, it can be result of expansion, or is trying to manage costs, consolidate offices into one space, to renew or expire lease, access to new market reorganization, or better facility. Maybe you have a better facility, and also to enhance employee morale, to improve your brand perspective, also to get to move closer to your clients and competitors, or to upgrade your technology. Maybe you're moving to a better technology hub. Those are some of the reasons why you have a move. You have your move in some offices. Now, planning steps. When you're having a move, there are some steps that you need to take. And the steps that you need to take, one, you define the reason for the move, like we have mentioned earlier on. Then you get a checklist. Get a checklist. Get a checklist, and also okay. Oh, sorry. I jumped a slide. Factors to consider when vetting your new office spaces. One, you look at the power and cooling systems. You look at the electrical system, look at the plumbing system of the facility, look at the waste disposal system of which we have discussed. Get a checklist. There's a checklist we'll share. Know your key dates, which will go for the move. Know your key dates, set the budget for the move. Brief your property agents, whether where you're coming from or where you're going to. Book your office company, like I mentioned earlier on, for those that heard me, that it is important that you get movers companies. Do not, for any reason, run the move yourself. Do not do it yourself. Ensure that you contact mover to get goods in transit insurance. Goods in transit insurance is a very important insurance that most move to cater for the goods that you are moving. Also, plan your new office design and space plan. Of course, you would have done that. That's one of the first things that you do. Plan your IT relocation. You need to understand how the move affects your IT department. After IT department, if your company is a very IT-savvy company, it means that you may need to move your server room. And when you're moving your server room, you may need to ensure that everything is prepared before you move the server room. And our advice at this stage, do not ever move the server room as it is. I always advise that you build a new server room. Inevitably, you are going to clone your server room so that what you only move are probably the racks, the switches that you just take out from the old server and send into the new servers. Those is very important to do that part to reduce this downtime for the organization. Finalize your office lease and dilapidation and resettlements is very also important. Most of the times I advise that in most lease agreements, you will always have a part that says that you should reinstate the building to the way you met it when you came in. I always advise that most of the times, do not even try to do that. Just either pay for that reinstatement cost, negotiate with the landowners or property owners or the landlords, and pay for the reinstatement cost so they handle it themselves. It's always better and neater that way so that you can easily be free. Because if you meet nasty property owners, they will keep demanding for things that you will not be able to ever fulfill. Next slide, Barakat, please. Okay, managing office move challenges. One of the things that you need to do when you're managing the office move is that allow for plenty of time. Allow for plenty of time to plan. So you should plan it on time. Start planning on time so that you do not rush it because it can be very tedious. Manage and guide staff through the office move. Always keep the staffs and the key managerial staff involved and inform the office move. Play to everyone's strength. Be prepared for disruptions. Be prepared for disruptions because it's a different environment they are going into. So definitely there'll be disruptions. So you need to plan for the disruptions. Preparing the new location. Create a new office plan and layout like we discussed earlier on. This is where your move committee will become really helpful. You need to get a move committee, set up a move committee if you have a lot of persons in your facility management department to make it a lot easier. But we always advise that you get an anchor head from each to join in the move committee so it can help. They can help communicate better with the other staff. It is always difficult to move into a new space. You have to figure out where everything or everyone goes. It takes a lot of time. Make sure that Make sure you know where each piece of furniture will be placed and every employee will sit. The more detailed the plan, the better. And normally we advise that once you are doing an office move, you normally should allocate. You normally should allocate each person, plug each person into the spaces so that each desk should be allocated to each person, put their names on it. So when they move to the new office, they don't need to find anybody. They just go to their spaces and then they put it there and just take over their spaces. Office mode guideline. Now, these are some of the guidelines that you probably know how to need to prepare when you are walking around. Some things you need to look at. One, take the time to plan efficiently. One way to make the office more efficient is to minimize the amount of time that the office takes to move. The move takes. Normally, it is better to do your movement in maximum of 2 days. So it's always better and neater to do it quickly, to move from your old office to the new office in a short time, so that it's better to do it in 2 days anyway, depending on how large your office is. If it's a very big office, you may probably do that within a week, but if it's something that you have to move per floor, make sure that you move each floor in a day. Move each floor in a day when you are dealing with a very large office. Move each floor in a day. It's very important so that you're able to conclude each floor at a particular time. To save time, ensure that you familiarize yourself with the new location, understand exactly the dimension of the new rooms, record the difference in spaces and formats of the rooms. Make sure your old or new desks, chairs, file cabinets, etc. will be well accommodated, and ensure everyone involved knows their new dimension. Create a floor plan before the move. Make sure that every employee receives a copy of the floor plan, which shows exactly where they will be and where they will sit. It's very important to do that. Communication during the office move with everyone. It's very important to communicate during the office move so that everybody knows exactly where they are and where they are going to. One of the things that you need to give clear instructions where each piece of furniture needs to be and to be positioned. It is easier and more understandable. You make the office move to the mover. Like I said, it's easier for you and more understandable for you to give that to a professional mover so that they know exactly what they are doing. It is quicker. The quicker the move will be and the more efficient. Like I said, you should do everything within a short period of time. Ensure you are faster with what you are doing. The role of the supervisors during the move. One, ensure staff involvement. Follows the instructions during the move activity. Create an office move guide and make sure that every member of staff receives the office move guide that you have prepared. Employee responsibility during the move. You will be responsible for their own packing of certain items before the actual move. Make sure that when you are doing the move, ensure you provide cartons to every employee to pack their personal belongings themselves into a carton, and then you give them tape to close it up and label it by themselves. Do not pack anything for anybody, because in case anything gets into so that they don't hold you responsible. So give them and allow them to do their packing of their personal items themselves. Use items during an office move. Items including bookcases, bookshelves, desks, wall units, cupboards, should be packed securely in cartons. You need to ensure that those things are packed, like I said earlier. File cabinets may not be empty. They may just be closed and locked. They need to be locked and secured, fastened with strings and heavy packing tape so that they are in one position. Preparing decks of the office move. Ensure that all the contents are packed out of the decks properly. Items such as paper clips, pencils, and all other loose materials should be placed in a carton. Glasses should be protected with papers or other packing materials. Moving electrical machines, disconnect and dismantle computers, equipment as specified. Remove all fluids from the photocopiers as required. Make sure those items are stored and labeled correctly. Office move checklist. Normally, you have a checklist. These are examples of the checklist you work with. One of the checklist, if you move to checklist, office checklist. One, you look at your office decks, look at the decks, are they empty? That's question. If it's empty, you tick. Supply cabinet, empty, yes, tick. Filing cabinet, cleaned, tick. Filing drawers locked, tick. Wall items taken down, tick. Breakable items properly packed, tick. Computer and other machines disconnected, tick. Do not move tag placed on items, tick. Liquid drained out of liquid drained from equipment, tick. Dex pad and chalk pad labels labeled, tick. Have a set of spare keys available, tick. Make sure your internet connection is ready to go, that the phones and other fax are working, tick. Make sure electricity works in the new place, tick. Make sure the bathrooms are properly and they are working properly in the new place, tick. Just a checklist that you work with. Employing professional movers, like I've said earlier on, you need to get you need to get movers to do the move. They are conscious of just how to set the logistics. They understand better how to manage these things. They know how to pack decks, they know how to pack lockers, they know how to pack the chairs, they know how to wrap things properly. So it's just better you employ them so they do a professional job for you. They understand furniture and the gear that they can be anticipated to deal with when changing a professional workplace. They have appropriate resources to help make the transfer secured and simple. They have the capacity to prepare the different phases of transfer nicely ahead of time. They also utilize color codes to know where precisely items should be stored. And then key considerations for the move process. Let's look at the key considerations for the move process. Office move planning. 6 weeks prior to the move of the office. One, meet with the IT department to discuss the critical time and critical components of the moving the servers and desktop equipment. It's very important. IT is very important in most companies, especially when they have a server room. You need to meet with them first to ensure that they are think and they can plan on how to move the servers. Assign move coordinators, role to individuals within each department. Consider standing weekly meetings with assigned move coordinators to discuss the upcoming move. Schedule kickoff meeting. Advise landlord of the origin and destination facilities in writing when the move will take place. That is, inform your present landlord, the new landlord, or the property managers or property owners when the move will take place, so they are prepared to know exactly when they are moving. Review and clearly define all areas of responsibility so everybody knows exactly what they are doing. 4 weeks prior to the move, finalize your move schedule, review schedule and responsibility, create employee move pack instructions, prepare agenda and content for employee to move, for employee move orientation meeting, identify high values items, discuss coverage during move with your insurance carrier. Like I said, the goods in transit insurance, which you must always plan for, is very important to have that. Then 3 weeks to the move, conduct employee move orientation meeting. That is, from time to time, you can take the employee to the new location. So in fact, you can coordinate and organize excursion to them so they know the new place. Schedule cartons delivery to employee to pack their personal items, stroke workstations, so they pack their personal belongings. Like I said, do not pack it for them. Schedule necessary staff to be on site during the move, and then establish method of communication for the move. I use of self and radios, depending on how complex the move is. 2 weeks to the move. Cartons and labels should have been delivered to every staff member, and then define the lost and found area in the new location. Create emergency preparedness plan for the move. Elevator, maintenance, building contracts, contract for IT personnel suppliers, contract for telecommunication suppliers, etc. And also week to the move, confirm all building reservations, conduct supervisors orientation meeting at the new site. Also complete review of labeling and items required special care. Walk the space and check the progress, confirm schedule of those who will be on site during the move, post floor plan, office layout diagram, and individual place cards and cubicles. Survey the new facility for any existing damage, so that at least you know if there's anything that is damaged, so you can do that. There's a move day. The move day, assign the move coordinator to the original and the destination site. Be prepared to direct movers and answer questions regarding placement of items. Monitor any item going to the lost and found area. Complete final walkthrough with your move supervisors at the old facility to make sure that all items have been moved. Fine-tune, clean up, and rearrange at the end of the job. It is very important for this the second to last item to do a complete walkthrough of the space, the old space with your move, so that everybody knows that everything has been moved. I always also advise that you can use your mobile phone to video the spaces so that you know exactly how you left the space when you were leaving, so that nothing gets missing and nothing gets damaged. Finally, after the move operation, manage inquiries from all employees, because employees really come and ask questions. Make a list of items requiring attention. Survey for any potential property damage to the space or your asset, and then schedule follow-up for post-move activity. At least after you have moved, normally I also advise that you go to the place where you have moved out from your old location, probably 2 days or a day after the move, to just go and take a walk through and check that everything is in order and everything is okay and ready to move. I think that's the last slide. Thank you very much. Again, I want to apologize for the bad network. I'm sure it's a Nigerian factor. I'm sure by our next class it will be much better. Okay, if nobody has any question, probably in our next class, I'll take our questions. So please go through the slides again. If you have any question, I'll take the questions in the new slides. Sorry, in the last class that we'll be having. I trust that you would have learned one or two things from today's class. If there's no question, I'll say thank you very much for your time. Good evening. Do have a blessed evening. Good night.
Okay, good night, sir. Thank you very much. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the lecture. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good
Bye-bye.
night, sir.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.